doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, welcome to the People's Weekly on People's Radio United. Trying to turn down the music, but I hit the wrong button. I'm here with Canadian Glenn and Nolan Hacks back. How are you guys doing?
Buenos dias.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on as always. So very glad to be back. Very glad.
Yeah, this is the return of Nolan Hack after forever. We're glad to have you back.
It seemed like forever. And glad to be back. My two homies, Glenn and Tim.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you, man. Thank you. There's always plenty to talk about, right?
Yeah. So, anything you want to talk about on the view up here, Glenn, coming up, or anything before we start?
Well, I probably got one or two shows left, and that's the end of season 8. In mid-April, it'll be being my 5th year since I started that show, and I find that pretty hard to believe, but, okay, it is what it is. I do believe, I can say with a great deal of certainty, that next Wednesday will be an episode on a rare subject for me, and it'll be about the United States. And
wow.
The title will be WTF USA with Stanley Cohen.
Very nice.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. You're talking about third world countries next time. Usually you talk about Canada.
I think basically what we're going to concentrate on are 3 people: Mike Pompeo, Gina Hansel, and John Bolton.
Oh, Bolton.
We're touching on them briefly today, I think, on one of the topics. I'm sure you guys will go way more in depth.
Well, even for just, me up here in Canada, seeing these 3 people getting the jobs that they've been tagged for, that's not a good sign.
No, not at all. Since we're on it, you want to just move that up and go talk about that quickly now before we move on? Throw things out of order.
America's out of order. Why not just go with the fluff?
Well, with Bolton, to me, it's like he's Hillary Clinton's brother or grandfather or something. I mean, their foreign policy, they're so similar with their foreign policy, especially when you're talking about Iran. I mean, Hillary is on tape, on videotape, saying we will annihilate Iran, gone off the face of the earth. And that was in response to talking about Israel and the region. If Israel does anything to Iran, we're going to take Iran off the face of the earth. Then you have Bolton, saying, by next year. Well, I guess he said this previously, not when he got the job, but by 2019, we will have fixed Iran and toppled the government, which is unbelievable because what Iran is what it is now because of the United States when they overthrew their government way back in the early 50s. So it all comes full circle, as always, with the United States. But it's Bolton, geez, it's about as bad as you can get with the job that he has.
Do you guys think that there's a reason for this, maybe, like, more than just that we're a country that loves to constantly be in perpetual war? Maybe the reason is there's a lot of scandals and a lot of pretty much crimes that are being proven and indictments and convictions of people within the Trump administration, and it's moving up pretty quickly. You think a war might be what they're saying can slow all this down and get the people to say he's presidential and all this stuff again? Because people, for some reason, Americans love war. We love killing people other than us.
But there's so many wars going on right now. I guess you mean like
I mean
starting
something
a new on the ground war,
yeah,
like
something
we
big.
saw, with the beginning of the second Iraq War or the first.
As a distraction.
I don't know, because my thing with distractions, I think they mean different. Distractions in this country mean different things to different people. For me, a distraction is Stormy Daniels and Trump, or Trump and Russia, which I will say the whole point of him stealing the election, that's very serious, and he should be impeached for it. But he's done a lot worse than that before and after he became president, that he should be in prison for. And those distractions I listed take away from the fact that Stefan Clark is dead and was murdered in his backyard. That take away from the fact that Bears Ears is being stolen by Mr. Trump. So it's more native land. You're talking about millions of acres of native land stolen. The gentleman by the name of Stephen Nguyen, he was killed by Denver police, I think it was about a week or so ago, in a case of mistaken identity. Stephen didn't do anything wrong, was minding his own business, and was murdered. So these are the things that we are not focusing on. For me, it's from my perspective.
Yeah, but
versus,
I was gonna say, I think most people though wouldn't care about that stuff either way. A lot of people,
right?
I mean, because
that's what I'm saying. There's a difference. There's a difference to distractions with what it means to certain people. But
like a war wouldn't take. Oh, sorry, I muted myself. A war wouldn't take away from something that people don't care about anyway, which sucks, and they need to care about it. And we talked about this a million times, because they don't care until it affects them personally, and by then it's too late because the other people don't care. But I'm saying, as far as whatever crimes, you know what I mean? Like all these crimes that we know and there's been proven that Trump has done before and since being president, it just seems like Americans love war. And I mean, when he dropped the bomb, all the media was like, he's the most presidential he's ever been, and we're a country of warmongers, so when somebody starts a war, we look to them like a hero immediately. I'm not saying all the people, but generally. And we have two parties, so when the Democrats start a war, it's great for the Democrats. Republicans like, that's an unnecessary war. But then the same war the Republicans take over, all of a sudden it's necessary, and it works both ways.
Well, I think what you're asking here is, I mean, if you look back, when did Bill Clinton get so horny to intervene in the Balkans? Well, right around the time that they were trying to impeach him over Lewinsky. So, yeah, look, squirrel, that's definitely a factor here. But I think the scary part to people outside the United States is we're familiar with the drill. If you want to shore up your approval numbers as a U.S. president, when you run into some trouble, just find somebody somewhere else that you can kick their ass. That always works. It always will. But what people outside the U.S. are seeing now is we have a torturer being promoted to the director of the CIA. We have a known Islamophobe becoming Secretary of State. And we have a guy who has never said a bad war, or never seen a bad war, but he's never said a bad word about the Iraq war. He's called for preemptive strikes on both North Korea and Iran. He's helped Israel at the expense of his own country, the United States, many times. He's been voted out of positions when the Republicans controlled the committees. That's how batshit crazy John Bolton is. And now he's going to be the national security advisor. If Trump wants to have a foreign distraction, this cast that he brought in is completely overboard. This is very dangerous.
It's super dangerous. It's ridiculous. But I suspect you guys will be going deeper into it on your show on Wednesday. Anything else about this either one of you want to bring up before we move on?
Well, Glenn touched on it pretty well. I went to a link looking at all of the cabinet for Trump, and other than Uncle Ben Carson in there, and Elaine Chao, who's Secretary of Transportation, you got a bunch of white folks in there, and a lot of white men, obviously. Rex Tillerson being the Secretary of State, former CEO of ExxonMobil.
He's not the Secretary of State anymore.
Not the Secretary of State anymore. Yeah. Then you have Mnuchin.
He's a sick man.
Secretary of Treasury.
We should talk about him one day and what he's done to people's homes and how terrible a person he is, but today's not the day.
And like you alluded to, Glenn, the pieces continue to be moved by Trump, which is scary in itself because he's the last person on earth to be moving any chess pieces of note. These chess pieces have human lives attached to them, and it's like he's playing musical chairs with his cabinet. Yeah, it's absolutely disturbing, and I say this a lot with really the whole ball of wax. You talk about American exceptionalism and everything, and the CIA itself was formed by Harry Truman. Harry Truman is the only president or leader of any country to use a nuclear weapon against anybody. So this is what we got, and I think what just makes it that much worse is Trump is so bad. I mean, they're all bad, but he's about as bad a president as we've had in a while.
Yeah, the other ones pretend to care. They pretend to say, oh, I care about my constituents. I care about the people. Even if their policy shows otherwise, Trump doesn't do that. He's like, me, me, me. It's all about me. If it doesn't benefit me, who cares? And it's literally him.
Well, I think that's a big issue here because like Nolan said, Rex Tillerson, Chief Executive Officer of the largest corporation on the face of the earth in big oil, even he had to go because Tillerson reached a limit and said, okay, there's only so much fucking stupidity I can put up with. So that just goes to show you that it's really not about the usual thing with Trump. It's about him. It's about people who are going to agree with him and tell him his ideas are great and then get their own agenda enabled. So, I mean, even Tillerson knew there's only so much that could be entertained until we hit the wall on give your head a fucking shake. So, Trump isn't about the same old system as everybody else. It's about making him feel good. That's the scary thing. That's the real difference this time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the new guy, Pompeo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, this man is Tea Party supporter.
Yep.
This guy called Obama a Muslim communist or communist Muslim. It's funny. He grew up in Orange County. I grew up in LA County, which is might as well be in the same area. And
No. LA County and Orange County is full of racists, man. LA County is not so bad. Like when you think of racist in California, you think of like Orange County and Riverside. At least in Southern California.
Yeah. I just meant like in terms of location. Like,
okay.
When people ask me like, where are you from? I would always say LA, even though I lived in Orange County for a couple of years. So like in the LA area, But I mean, this guy, he was a cavalry officer, patrolling the Iron Curtain. And amazingly, he got plenty of love from Harvard. He got, I've never heard of this thing before because I've never gone to Harvard. Oh, a JD. Excuse me. That I have heard before, just not spelled out like that. He got a JD from Harvard. And I'm sure everybody listening remembers what has happened the last couple of days with Lauren Ingram and David Hogue, saying David was quote unquote whining for not getting to UCLA. Very good school, even though he had a 4.1. Yet someone this horrible, Pompeo, he got a great degree from Harvard. So let's not get all picky about who has what degree, who didn't get in where and whatnot. I keep making the point, Ben Shapiro is a UCLA Bruin, which makes me sick to my stomach because I'll support the school till I'm dead. And Hogue didn't get in, so I'm not going to, come on. But back to the point, these folks that Trump keeps hiring, they're that alt-white leaning, old school Republican, Southern, the South will rise again type of people, and that's not good. That's not good. My only hope with that is that enough people outside of that one, the cabinet and the system at large, understands that as bad as the Trump administration is and as bad as that cabinet is, they understand that this is not new. There have been worse cabinets than this. Yes, there have. Go back in history, read some history books. And this is not the root of the problem. It's a symptom to the disease. That is what I hope more people understand.
Oh, I wish they would. I really do.
Oh.
But I'm already seeing people, just vote Democrat and we'll all be saved. Yeah, right.
Well, I think that's true. Thing that I don't think enough people know about Mike Pompeo is right now, currently, in the weekly prayer group in the White House, the people who attend include Pompeo, Mike Pence, Ben Carson, Betsy DeVos, Rick Perry, Sonny Perdue, and of course everyone's favorite garden gnome, Jeff Sessions.
Mm-hmm.
But the kind of the leader of this prayer group is a guy by the name of Ralph Drollinger, who is a former basketball player, professional. He established Capital Ministries in 1997. And
is that
Pompeo,
capital with an A or a O?
Oh, Capitol.
Wow, okay.
And He is also Mike Pompeo's personal spiritual advisor.
Nah.
And this guy is quite open to anti-Muslim theology and has a conviction that U.S. military engagement overseas is justified by nothing less than the Bible.
Yep. These people are sick. But what about the separation of church and state? They shouldn't even be having those prayer breakfast in there. And if they do, they should have.
Yeah.
If they do, they should have a whole bunch of religions praying together. Then it seems really dangerous when one religion is the one of the state, and that
That's
religion.
the thing. Yeah, I've thought about this a lot in the last few days. I barely see any Muslim schools. There are a few. I don't see many Mormon schools. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing.
They have both, just so you know.
I know. I'm just saying I don't see nearly as many of those than I see Catholic and Christian schools. And if you were to put more schools for Muslim kids around the country, people will lose their minds. Saying church and state. Well, wait a minute. What your kid's going to a Christian school, but
they're private, aren't they?
Yeah, they are going to private. But my point is, those schools are a lot easier to make and maintain than any non-Christian Catholic school, and definitely any religions that a lot of colored people practice. But you look at that whole "in God we trust" thing versus the church. Okay, here's church and here's state. That's a huge contradiction right there, because you're going in the money. Okay, God we trust. So God, we know what God we're talking about. Jesus, God, yeah. But church and state, it's all hypocrisy. So like that instance where they say church and state, it's really like fine print you can't see. That means any non-Christian religion.
I always thought it was referring to Cthulhu.
Praise Cthulhu.
In Cthulhu we trust. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. They just go against whatever, and people don't care. People don't care.
I think the thing that nobody really thinks about, and you'll never hear corporate media talk about, is there's always a danger of war in this world. And it's hard enough to avoid it when people on both sides are coming from a point that most would assume to be, as much as can be, is a point of neutrality. That's because they base their arguments on logic and input that reflects conditions, not opinions. It's hard enough when you have two countries that don't have a book of faith up their ass. Because as soon as you involve religion, it's pretty much impossible to not come up with issues that don't really exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes everything muddled, especially when you're talking about, well, take the two most polarizing religions in the world right now, Christianity and Islam. Both of those religions are not being practiced the way they were originally supposed to be practiced. They're not reading the original text that they're supposed to be reading, to help their faith and give them guidance.
How do you determine which part is the part you should be reading? Because if I read either one of those books, I would think the most extreme people are actually following it the closest, unfortunately.
Well, most of those texts now, those are doctored texts that are not hardly carbon copies of the original texts, and it's hard. Since you talk, I don't know. I'm not to say anything about Islam with this, but it's hard to find a Bible that is correctly translated from the original text. And then, of course, they took books out. And they took a lot of references to Africa out of it. And I'll continue to just put the argument on the table that you could make a very fair argument that Jesus was born in Africa, because there's a city in Ethiopia that translates into English called Nazareth. Now, last I checked, whole story of Jesus, born in Nazareth. So, and that's something that no one will ever talk about or give any validity to, but that's just, erasing your original text, not giving any chance to know what was really written exactly back then. And some of that goes into just straight out racism, because this Bible has been used, to enslave us for hundreds and hundreds of years. So, religion, like Glenn said, is you put religion in things, and things just get more complicated.
Well, I differ a bit about the way you guys are looking at things, because the way I look at it is the problem is the environment. The environment now is ever changing, and the environment now has never existed in the past. And the problem I see is it doesn't matter what major religion you're speaking of, but as far as you look at the fracturing of it, the sectarianism of it, the problem now is we have a party with money on one side, and we have a certain narrowed belief. And when those two meet, that's when you have a real problem.
Yeah. This would be like a whole nother 15-hour debate to go into this whole religious thing. But yeah, let's move on, man. We got more important stuff than the stupid United States government to talk about. No.
All right.
Actually, no, it goes right back to the same kind of thing. Alton Sterling, he's still dead, and another murderous cop is walking free. How do we stop this from ever happening again? Because it seems to happen daily. Cop kills somebody, a few months or a year later, after everyone's forgotten, now the cop gets let off. And everyone's wondering, it's the verdict day every time. And the police start putting up roadblocks, and you see more police in the streets, and they're blocking off it. You pretty much know the cop's going to be justified in the shooting, as always. It just seems like a sick, vicious cycle. And Alton Sterling just happens to be the latest victim whose killer is now free to walk the streets again.
I'll tell you.
Please do.
That's why I'm here. There's a woman by the name of Donna Wicks. Met her in Los Angeles at a community event about police violence against our communities, our family, and our loved ones. She lost her son, Kevin Wicks, murdered by police, gunshots. He was in his own house. They came in and killed him in his own house. And to this day, Donna has not been allowed to see the face of the white cop who killed him. And the white cop's name is Brian Regan. And Regan also killed another black man. Wicks was about 37. The other brother was 19. I think he was about 19. Michael Benayoun. And he's not been convicted either time. He's out on the street. 2 murders. So, this will happen again today. It'll happen again tomorrow. It'll happen again next month. And I was reading words from Al Sharpton only because it was in the article I was reading. and he was talking about Stephon Clark and police violence. And this is what he said. He said, Al Sharpton, it's time for preachers to come out of the pulpit. It's time for politicians to come out of the office. It's time for us to go down and stop this madness. So he's basically saying, let's keep doing the exact same things to, in quotes, combat this issue and hope something happens.
Yeah, you know what though, L. Sharpton is somebody who profits off others' misery.
Mm-hmm.
So what he says, I put very little weight in.
No, but I tried to convey that this is the exact opposite thing of what we need to do.
I know. I understand how you're saying it. I know how you think. You think a lot like me on a lot of things like this. But the thing is, the average person maybe listening might be like, "Oh, Al Sharpton said that, and maybe that's what we need to do." He's always there when someone can profit off of somebody's misery and death. He's the first one there with his hand out.
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah. Go ahead,
we were speaking about Stephon Clark on the show last week.
Yeah.
And as soon as I heard that Al Sharpton was at the event, the first thing I thought was, oh God, don't go there, because then it will become nothing of consequence. As soon as Al Sharpton shows up, the majority of people, whatever their position on the issue is, that's it. It fits into that, and they can turn it off because Al Sharpton's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan at all. And I know people will hate me for saying that, but I don't care because he's a scumbucket. He's part of the problem, like you just said, Nolan. Without saying it, I'm saying it. He's a big part of the problem. People like that, they're like ambulance chasers, But basically that's the kind of thing they are. They're going to try to profit off somebody's. I see them no different than the people that are at a march or a protest trying to sell merchandise. It's like, you just suck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get out there and march. You're trying to sell merchandise to people, profiting off something. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's the scary thing within that is even the people being affected by this the most. I'll speak for my own people. We buy into it. We hold hands, sing Kumbaya. The hope white Jesus is going to save us. Vote it out, vote them out. Which the sentiment "vote them out." It's a nice sentiment, and I get it, but it's just faulty in itself because. Yeah, okay, you vote them out. It doesn't mean that they're going to have vacant chairs of the people you just kicked out of office. You're going to have similar people who are racist, or if you're a black politician, a bigoted sellout. The same people are going to come in, maybe a little better, a little worse, whatever. George W. Bush, well, they didn't even vote him out. He got another term. But when he was out, okay, bring Obama in. Well, Obama happens to break W's record for drone strikes by a large margin. Now Trump's ahead of Obama's pace. So voting them out really is just something to say. Now, if we put that much energy into voting, and I'm not shaming anybody for voting or not, if we put that much energy into campaign fundraising, especially for candidates of color, if we put that much energy into fighting Trump and not anybody else, we could really get something going. Because there's a lot of, it takes a lot to get somebody elected, even in city council. Okay, it takes a lot. Anybody who wasn't homeschooled through their grade school years and middle school, high school years. It takes a lot to get somebody elected for, student council treasurer. So you're talking about, Senate races and running for Congress, president.
Yeah, student council members don't usually get the free press and the millions of dollars in donations, so either. Yeah.
I'm just saying that the effort it takes to get elected is a lot, and then the people trying to get them elected, that oftentimes they're just putting in more effort than the actual candidate. So imagine if we put that effort into something else, put that effort into actually going at the system, at the root of the problem, and yanking at that root, trying to tear it out. We could do some serious good and be honest about this country historically and currently, the crimes of this country and the people and the groups it affects, and put that out there and get that on the front page. Because then we can actually do something. Then walls will fall down. The house of cards will start to shake. But if we keep going with this, honestly, genocidal system, trying to reform it, as these Parkland kids want to do, we're still going to get killed. It reminds me of the New Deal. New Deal was great. It was genius, but it helped white people. We're still in the back going, we're getting beat up over here, but the people in the front, hey, we got a New Deal. Isn't that cool? And bye. So reform in this country is just evolved genocide. We're still going to, when you reform this system, parts of this system, we're still going to be under the system. The system's still going to be killing us, targeting our communities, taking our children. Still going to be under genocide. It's just an evolved form of, slavery, chattel slavery on plantations. Okay, well, that's over with. All right, put them all in prison. Let's screw up other countries and make sure they're enslaved there. Libya.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Glenn.
I was just going to say that, I've said it many times on my own show. Reform means excuse not to change. That's all reform is.
Amen.
Reform is not change. It is reform. Look up the definitions and use those definitions when people tell you about reform. Reform is not change. That's the bottom line.
Amen.
That's why we prefer to use the term dismantle, destroy, decolonize, things like that. That's what we have to do.
Exactly.
But a lot of people, though, I agree with what you said, Nolan, but you have to realize these quote-unquote leaders, they needed to be able to be profitable for them. So they're not trying to get change, and some of them aren't even trying to get even reform because they make way too much money within the crooked, corrupt system pretending to fight it. I'm talking about people like Al Sharpton and them.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they use the religion to get the people to stay behind them. Because everyone else would be like, Sharpton, he's a charlatan. But then you got the religious people that are like, oh, no. He's Reverend Al Sharpton.
It's the truth.
Yeah, so, I don't know. We need this. It seems to me that people were all on this police killing 1 to 2 people a day, one person every 8 hours. Nothing stopped, except people seem to have stopped caring so much because there's so much other stuff since November of 16 that's been going on. It's just insane. They seem to put it on the back burner, but meanwhile, people are literally losing their lives, like we just said, 2 or more times a day. A lot more people unarmed, more white people. For the people who say it's just the black and Mexican people getting murdered, it's coming. I mean, it's happening. They laid that one white guy out and made him do all kinds of things before they finally killed him.
Mm-hmm. There were more killings in 2017 by police, according to killedbypolice.net. 1193 That was Trump's first year. Obama's last year was 1171. So it went up. Yeah. It was still a high number.
It's always going to go up if there's no repercussions for it and nobody gets in trouble and they can get away with it. Then the next cop's like, easier to shoot somebody. I'll just get away with it. But Obama didn't care. Trump doesn't care. Bush didn't care. Clinton didn't care. Clinton really didn't care. He was kind of responsible for some of this. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter if it's a Republican or Democrat. They always back the police no matter what. It's sickening.
Well, they can't give up that whole card. I mean, the further we go down this road, everybody who gets into a position of power knows that they are closer than the person they're replacing to having the gate stormed. So the last person these people are going to piss off are the ones that are getting all the free military hardware from the Pentagon to serve fucking warrants for parking tickets.
Yeah.
I mean, the high politicians are just simply not going to hold the police responsible on a wholesale level. They simply will not. Which they should. We all know they should. But it's these same politicians who have created the level of militarized police. So, it's like the creator of Frankenstein saying, you know what? You're a fucking monster. I should have never done this. What do you think will happen then?
Well, it depends if he can profit off it or not.
You tell your monster it's ugly, your monster's usually going to kill you.
Oh, yeah. That's absolutely right. I think one thing that doesn't really get a light shown on it is that, and I'll take the kid I just brought up, David Hogue. He quoted Ronald Reagan within the last couple of days, trying to make a point, and pro-Reagan. Now, he's obviously supposed to be like a very hard left-leaning liberal, but his parents, I don't know how many he has, what his family makeup is, but whoever's raised him seem to be pro-America, pro-Americans, proud to be Americans, as is he. And even though he saw people of color being shot at in his high school, he still wants this system in place. I know he's 16, 17, but he wants this system in place. And the people around him who are adults and around those sparkling teens, a lot of them, David included, have done a lot of great things just in terms of their courage and how quickly they sprang into action after the horrible thing that happened. But they want the system here. They want to reform it. As you said, Glenn, meaning no change, no real change. We're just going to tweak the system a little bit so we are better taken care of, not the people on the bottom. And when you talk about this country, the systems that hold it up, one of them being capitalism, these systems don't work, especially capitalism, if the people on the bottom, you talk about this country, black and indigenous people especially, if these people aren't suffering. So, yeah, okay, reform, gun control, but let the cops keep the guns. Let's march with the cops. Let's have a former LAPD police chief be one of our advocates for the march for white lives. And yeah, that's our message. That's the message we're going to send out.
Man.
But it's honestly, look, the kids, okay. And I've been very careful because these are kids. I said some stupid stuff when I was 14, 15, 16, 17.
these are kids, and they went through something really bad, horrible. But at the same time, you got white students at the front of this, mostly white. You've got, and I believe the school is mostly white. Those now some black students who come saying, "Hey, what about us?" And you had marches that were all over the country, all over the world, and the message being conveyed was, "Hey, this is tragedy, and we just need to stop this one thing and not understand fully what this one thing is." People talk about the Second Amendment all the time, pro or against. But what's lost in that conversation is the amendment exists and it was created to keep us as slaves, so it makes it harder for us to run away and to continue to steal land from Native people and kill them. That is not, other than Larry King, I think that I haven't heard anybody say that. But then you look at the fact that Women's March LA helped them put this together. That's a giant red flag. I believe some Soros money has been involved. George Clooney, liberal, who helped give $10 million to Hillary Clinton for president, he's helped out. Oprah, big, rich liberal, whatever the hell that means. So we have all these dirty hands, and cops all over the country, all these dirty hands on this movement and on these marches, and it's just it's insulting for me as a black person. It's insulting for me as a black person who went to white schools growing up, being disrespected most days simply because I was black and I was one of the very few black people in those schools. And whether it was my hair, whether it was my skin color, not being black enough, being a mutt, whatever, knowing what happened to my cousin Allison, killed by a white woman in a coma for more than a decade, and then dying recently. That I call that a murder because he tried to kill her and sadly succeeded. And knowing the cops covered that up, and then I see these marches and I'm seeing cops arm in arm with the protesters. I'm going, okay, those mofos kill us day in, day out, and you have your arms around them, hugging them and all that.
Man,
it's insulting.
I covered that March for Our Lives in LA.
I know.
If you look, you can see those militarized cops. I even said, "Are we in Iraq or what?" And these people were coming over and saying, "Thank you for your service," and hugging them, taking pictures. These are soldiers in the street, loaded up in the back of a van, ready to break out and attack the people if they touch one of the Nazis way down the block. You know what I mean? That's literally what it was all about. And the other thing is, I would love to see that many people show up and shut down LA every single time a cop kills somebody. And not just LA, cities all across the whole United States. Stephon Clark should have been like that. Mike Brown should have been. I mean, every single person, it should be like that. They should say we can't move our cities until these cops stop killing people. But it doesn't happen. Excuse me. What you had there was a controlled environment where you had 15,000 plus people out there, and they were all going the same way, doing the same thing, stuck in the same little areas, doing exactly what the police told them and their permits let them do. And my thing was, you want to make change happen, that's not really how you do it. Singing and dancing and having a big celebration. Why didn't all these groups break off and hit freeway entrances and start shutting down the whole entire city? You had enough people where you could have literally had LA on its knees for a day and stay out there longer if you wanted. And there would be nothing they can do with that many people. But they're so controlled, and they're all about, oh, we just want to just make sure mentally ill people don't get guns. That's our own, because it was, these mass shooters are white, so obviously they're mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other excuse for it. If they were black, or they'd be a thug. If they were Arab, they'd be a terrorist. But they're white, they're mentally ill. The poor, you see how this guy's a Nazi. He's a literal Nazi, and they're saying, oh, he was just a misunderstood guy. If it's a black 12-year-old that gets shot, he's a man. If it's a white 23-year-old shooter or whatever he is, then he's a kid. It's just insane, man. These people are so dumb, and they're so controlled like little sheep. Even if that was your cause to get changed, then why didn't you shut stuff down until your cause is you know what I mean? If that's all you want is just mentally ill white people to not be able to get guns, and everyone else is cool except for maybe black people and Mexican people, because that's what the NRA, you're basically I don't see what the difference is between what they want and the NRA is willing to concede to. You're not worried about the racism. You're not worried about anything else within this organization, just mentally ill people getting guns, because obviously a white person wouldn't shoot someone if they're not mentally ill. Well, that's what I saw it to be.
Yeah, that just shows you why you don't really get what's happening at demonstrations unless you go. Like, there's no viewpoint from actually going. I will agree to that. But for what Nolan was saying, that's interesting. You talk about how the celebrities get involved with the cause, and Clooney and Amal and Oprah. I think part of that is to make a spectacle out of the cause, and that becomes the focus. All of a sudden, wasn't this going to be about change, or, oh, did you see George? That's the idea. I really think that that's somehow, in some of these things, that's the play. It's just to turn it into a fucking red carpet.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's one of my issues with this Refuse Fascism group, which I need to catch them and interview them at one of these events. I always see them, and I'm too busy watching other stuff. I need to corner them and ask them some serious questions about their org. But regardless, that's what they always do. They always have this big truck. Then they got some celebrities coming on. Like, people are there to march and stuff. We don't want to hear celebrities talking. At least I don't. Yeah. But, then it gets this big crowd around the truck, and they got to sing a song or do something, and then the celebrities are gone. They're in the cars leaving.
Yeah.
Before anything even happens. Like, how down are you, man? Would you show up for a check, or just to do it because you're going to get some fans out of this big ass group out here? What? I don't, It's like, I don't understand why celebrities are needed in this. If they're not willing to be there with the people, like, I'll tell you, Most Def, I've seen him in with the people, marching alongside. Nobody's like, that's Most Def. He's with the people. You know what I mean?
That's
he didn't perform. He didn't speak. He didn't do nothing. He just walking with the people, showed up like any of us. And that's respectable. But these other kids, we want to be on the stage, and as soon as it's done, we got our people in our cars, rush us out before, sign the autographs. Why are you signing anything? You're there to march. You're there to protest. This isn't for you to promote or sign or do anything. I don't understand that. And every time with this group, man, it's just ridiculous.
I saw that. I've seen it multiple times. There's one memory in particular came to my mind. There was a event for Standing Rock. It was December of 2016, and I was in D.C. Helping to try to get Leonard Peltier out of prison, and I rushed from the vigil for Leonard at the White House to the event because I wanted to support Standing Rock, but also figured, hey, okay, maybe see if anybody wants to support Leonard as well. So at the end of it, passed out a bunch of flyers. I talked to one guy, I can't remember his name, nor should I at this point. One of the semi-famous white guys that was getting press for quote unquote helping Standing Rock. I think he would hang out with Chanel Woodley here and there, but he was talking to me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Leonard. Oh yeah, man. He didn't have much time left. Yeah, he doesn't." And I'm trying to get as many people over there each day as we can. Love to see you over there. I'm rushing back from here to go back there. I never saw him, and it was probably like another month and a half until his deadline was 20th of January 20th, 2017. So most celebrities are like that, and most celebrities are just a-holes anyways. But it's sad because there are a few celebrities, you named one, most staff, who...
Talib, too, that's his buddy, but they're both solid,
yeah.
man. That dude, like you and him, Nolan, I don't know how y'all do it. I get tired of the races. I'm like, I'm done with you. You're too stupid. And you and him still going on the same dude 3-4 weeks later. I'm like, wow. He's amazing because he's doing shows, he's touring around, doing his own thing, and he still has time to put these jackasses in their place.
It's a spectacle. Well, I mean, yeah, and it's crazy that that much racism is still out there, and the denial aspect. But people like Talib, people like Mostaf, it's sick that there are so few in that community. And just like within activism, it's the same way. We get distracted very easily by either we go with things that are only helping certain people, like this March for White Lives thing, or we get stuck with reactive things. And what I mean by that is marching right after not everyone, but when you see it on TV, when a black person is killed by the police, we'll march, we'll scream, we'll block down a highway, and then 2 days will pass. And remember we blocked that highway? It was great, but what next? And going after the root of the problem, that's what needs to be done. And I guess, like I was talking about the effort thing, if more effort was tied into going after the root of the problem, if more effort was having more educational programs, especially in our own communities, we're talking about communities of color, more effort going into education in general, because the government has such a stranglehold of what our kids are taught, we could really get somewhere. We could actually take this thing down. But with all the distraction, all the superficial stuff, 60 minutes, for goodness sake. I can't even speak clearly because it just makes me enraged. We are slaves right now in Libya. We are being tortured and killed. As far-reaching as Nigeria, we're being taken as slaves to Libya. But no, the porn star and the president and the sex. That's what we're going to talk about. I mean, and you go back a little bit. The president just signed a bill to put 100,000 extra cops on the street. Billions of dollars for police, billions of dollars to build prisons. No. That who cares? Lewinsky. That's what we need to talk about. That's important. All these distractions, all this superficial BS. It takes effort, wasted effort, in trying to. Speaking for my people again, trying to liberate ourselves.
You know what it was? It's like it's different with Clinton and Trump, in my opinion, because Clinton didn't have those ultra-religious family values, you're all sinner kind of people that were his base, But Trump does. So I think people were trying to shame him at first, but they actually just came out and said, no matter what he does, we're going to support him. There's nothing he can do that's too wrong that we won't. he can do anything. So I don't even know why they're still on it. I understand that it might be illegal, the payment, and hopefully that could do something to get rid of some of these people. But in the grand scheme of thing, it doesn't shame them because they don't care, and his base, and it's kind of useless to keep going on with it about the morality thing because the religious right has no more morality. Trump is their morality. Whatever Trump does, that's what's right with God and them. And they've said it. The dude went on and said one of their leaders, I can't remember, one of the preacher to televangelist guys that's in the White House. He's like, there's nothing he can do. He's my friend. He's my this and that. Anything he does, we're going to back him and forgive him. That's what he said on Fox or CNN, one of the news stations. Like,
okay, that's
blatantly said it.
No, that's fine, but I think there's something else involved here, and I think there are some in the media industry that are going to take their chance to subliminally embarrass Trump after how they danced for him to get him elected. So I think that we're going to be seeing some stories like this. They'll keep flogging it just because they know it pisses Trump off. Because everybody knows all he does is fucking watch TV.
That's true. So maybe it's just personally poking at him. But
I think there's some of that out there.
Because in the grand scheme of things, if it doesn't shame his base and nobody cares, like who really? It doesn't. I mean, he's a scumbucket. Clinton was a scumbucket. Obama seemed more family friendly. He was still an evil warmonger. There's a million reasons to hate Obama beside the fact that he was black. I don't understand why these racists can't see that.
Because that's all that mattered to them.
Yeah.
But
that, and they can't admit. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the difference with Trump, though, is, as far as I'm concerned, mentally, he's not his own man. He's under control by whoever he wants to listen to, and he has the thinnest skin of a U.S. president ever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, looking how the environment of the game is right now, if there's ratings in it, what if one of these networks puts out a story that embarrasses Trump and Trump goes off on Twitter? Well, it just doubled their ratings right there. They're playing reverse Trump on Trump.
I don't know. I think it's ridiculous the whole way it's set up. I mean, money shouldn't be in politics, and journalists shouldn't be forced to do what makes money. They should follow the stories that are important, but that's a fantasy world nowadays.
Yeah, that's gone, man.
Well, you kind of wrapped a bow on it really well, Glenn. That's distraction on top of distraction, with this distraction being squared. Creating that mess out of nothing, or using something ridiculous Trump has done and then shaming him for it on TV, getting him upset, him tweeting about it, and then we're talking about what did he tweet, who did he mention. Okay, unless this is like the bombings over in Syria that the United States makes each day, killing civilians, and the people he called out was some activist in Syria blasting Trump. Unless it's something like that, what are we doing here? This government is pummeling people from sea to shining sea. But these are the things that we're going to talk about. Is Melania Trump uncomfortable? Oh, is she all right? She married him. She's a racist mofo. Unless she's being, violated or assaulted by Trump, I ain't giving them sympathy for being uncomfortable, especially after what they did to Michelle Obama simply because he was black. But these distractions are asinine. But that's what gets so much coverage. You look at MSNBC's feed, CNN's feed, etc., etc. This is what you're talking about? Are you serious? There are black people being thrown off of boats by the dozens to just die in the sea. Migrants, black migrants in the Middle East and around Africa. Happening all the time. But no, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Stormy Daniels. That's what we're going to talk about.
It's because Americans don't care about anything other than other Americans, and only some other Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to run what makes money. That's it.
That's true.
I mean, that's the reality. And I think everybody, even us people that don't agree with how the system works, that news is now heavily monetized. But I mean, everybody has to admit, a story about unnecessary death doesn't rate very high on the appeal scale.
Sure.
But a porn star from Baton Rouge that did the president and got paid and can still blab, oh, that's front page shit, man.
I mean, wasn't his wife an ex-hooker before he married her?
Yes.
I mean, so
softcore.
I don't understand. Like, what's like? Why is it such a shock to people? Every wife he was on, he cheated on her, and then he cheated with his next wife with the last one. Like, it's nothing new. They knew what he was. Why are they even like? Why is this even news? Why is it shocking?
It's titillating. I mean, that's basically it. It's people like this. Well, in this society, people like this stuff. That's why reality shows are all over the place. We have a reality show president. We have a Twitter troll president.
Okay.
With the former host of the freaking Apprentice is president.
Okay, but if you think, though, this isn't the first time U.S. media has done this. They did this for all of Clinton's second term.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't crack. So
he didn't. They could have taken him down, but
he did not. Well, yeah, he could have taken himself down if he let the media get to him.
That as well, yeah.
So maybe that's what they're trying to do with Trump.
Clinton didn't have Twitter like they do now.
Well, he wouldn't be on Twitter 100th.
No.
That's as much as.
Well, I vaguely remember when Obama was running the first time. The media was saying, "Oh, it's just amazing how a presidential candidate can use social media to his advantage." It's it was like unheard of at the time. So I think the progression. Who knows what the next idiot they put in office is going to do? It might be, using some form of social media all day.
Well, I can give you a preview. Even though I continue to say this is not going to happen because he's not going to be impeached, I'll just say it for the sake of argument. Mike Pence becomes president, and he'll make tweets like every 6 days. Like one will be while he's in church on Sunday. It's like, I'm just taking the word of God, and God has always blessed America. Something like that. Versus
insanity.
Well, yeah. Versus Cory Booker or Kamala Harris, trying to be, the cool black folks getting the politics out to the people. So you'll see a bunch of.
Oh my gosh! Wait, was it a week or 2 weeks ago? I'm sorry, Nolan. Just real quick. I want everyone here listening to do something. Stacey Dash. We talked about her and what a scumbucket she was a week or two ago. Please, everybody, go look at that interview she did. I'm not sure if it was for Fox or CNN. They're all the same to me. She's a ditz. Clueless is real. Like, they ask her questions, she gives these one-line answers because America, or because, like, she's an idiot. Just please look at that and realize she's a black white supremacist and she has no brain power whatsoever. It was like the dumbest interview I've ever heard.
She could be Ben Carson's daughter.
She was either on drugs or...
Very well could be.
Dude, she was either on some serious drugs and couldn't respond, or she's just an idiot.
And she wore something. I think it was on MSNBC, which is interesting because obviously she's on the right, MSNBC's on the left. But she's wearing something out of the Nancy Reagan collection. I'll share it in the chat. So she's really trying hard to get those.
But my point is, like, come on, you're running for some kind of government office. At least you're an actress. At least rehearse something other than just one line or one or two word answers.
Well, her probable hero, Sarah Palin, she didn't need to do much book learning.
Wait.
She did all right for herself.
Sarah Palin's a hero to anybody?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yes, she is.
Wow,
60 million people voted for her to become vice president. Let's not forget.
Hey, she's probably better than what we currently have, so who knows?
Yeah, I would sadly take Palin and McCain over Trump and Pence. That's why that lesser of two evil stuff is so dangerous.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear me on that.
Well, I think that Stacey Dash is just that fucking stupid. That's my vote.
She's not bright at all.
Hey, I think that should be her poster, a picture of her. It says clueless.
Well, just like you don't even need to reuse anything. Just get one of the old Clueless posters from the movie and just use that for her run for Congress. I don't know. Is it U.S. Congress? I hope not. Or is it local? I don't even know.
I don't know. I don't care. It's wrong either way.
U.S. House.
Oh.
But you know what? Even if you did it to satire her, I bet you she would make money on residuals.
Mm-hmm. There's no way to win in this.
No, there isn't.
Oh man, I just could not believe. I'm like, wow, she's dumber than a brick, literally. I mean,
yeah, it's sad, man.
I'd vote for a brick before her.
The system needs to go.
I didn't know she was that. I just thought she was like a really confused supporter of white supremacy, like, what do they call them? Aunt Tamitas? Instead of Uncle Tom, Aunt Tamita. But it turns out she's just dumber than a rock, man. Like, who would have thought? Now, I mean, she could be on tons of opioids, don't get me wrong, there is that possibility, but I'm agreeing with you, Glenn. I think she's just that dumb.
Well, I think there would be a lot more physical impairment that would be visible if she was heavily sedated. So that's,
Yeah.
And if she was on hallucinogens, I don't think she could sit that still.
I haven't seen it.
You know what?
I'm going to watch it after the show's over.
I wish she was on hallucinogens during that interview because it would have been awesome. Way better than that. She could have answered something like color.
Oh God! Don't stump her.
Like, what do you think you can do for your constituency to help make it better for the people in LA? And she's like, purple and green, pink.
That's a little off.
That would be genius.
But see, that's a problem too that never used to exist before. It didn't matter that she's an actress. If this was like in the 70s, she would have to go to the local TV station and get on like the morning news there and get interviewed. And then maybe it would get spread across the state. And then in LA, network would look at it and say, well, okay, let's do an interview, see if she's any good. But the thing is now, as soon as she announces, bang, national, full blast.
Isn't she a Fox host or a correspondent or something?
Fired. She was so bad.
I see why she's too dumb for anything. She's really stupid.
A number of people online and off have suggested I run for office.
I wanted to see what my online community thinks of the idea as I mull the possibilities. And then to give credit, I mean, those folks on MSNBC are pathetic, but to give credit to this guy interviewing her, Miss Dash, are you a clueless person? Or actually, wait, okay, I read that wrong. I thought it was a clueless joke, like you're clueless. No, never mind. No, terrible is he asks Miss Dash, are you a clueless person or a legally blonde person? This is what I mean, distraction.
I don't understand the question.
Are you kidding me? Well, okay.
But she is clueless,
famous, right?
Yeah, which movie does she like?
Yeah. A very famous movie with Reese Witherspoon where a blonde got into Harvard Law. And,
was she in that?
No. This is ironic. Why would you not pick your own movie? So the question's even more pathetic than...
Oh, it's just like a fluff question to throw out there. I see. Okay.
Yeah, but it's also putting a racial element in it.
Yeah, like...
Aren't they both about a clueless blonde person, or no?
Ask a black woman to pick is not innocent.
Yeah, because if she picks Legally Blonde, then wait, so you can go from one, you're going from your own movie, two, you're going from the movie where a black woman, black girl, and a black dude were dating, and there's colored people in it. Yeah, you're right there, Glenn. But to add, these are the questions that we ask on political shows in the United States.
Yeah. And this is the country where Trump can tell the difference between an elephant and a camel, and he's fit for office.
Frederick Douglass, he's my librarian.
Oh yeah, that doctor that said I weighed about 45 pounds less than I did and said I was in great health. Yeah, he's going to be my next Secretary of Veteran Affairs. See how that works?
Yeah, I saw that. It's, we just need to find somebody we really, really trust and just give them, everyone donate like $1 or $2 till they have like $10 or $12 million. Donate it to Trump, and then they'll get a position in his cabinet, and then they can make things better for us. That's all we got to do.
No, then you end up like Tillerson. Yeah, you're Tillerson.
Yeah, that's true. Because he hires only the best people, and then he fires them with a couple of months.
Well, the ones who actually want to do their job. Yeah, that's not why you're here. But I mean, if you want to last, you have to have a lot of money and be stupid. Please see Betsy DeVos.
Education. You can't make this stuff up.
I know.
Education.
Unbelievable.
Well, you have to go to those meetings and tell him how great he is in a circle of everybody with Pence starting. Thank you, Mr. President.
This is like making Yoselef Mengele the Surgeon General.
It's insanity.
Yep.
Well, yeah, we got.
That's the other thing. There are Joseph Mengele's, Goering's, whatever, in this cabinet. Yep. Jeff Sessions. I mean, he's. I can't say war criminal because it's all. Well, actually, you could say war criminal because across the border, but the genocide he's committing, he should be on trial. James Mattis, war criminal. Libya, he head up U.S. operations in Libya. Yeah.
Well, you know what? This could, like I say all the time, this could have all been solved if they would have just impeached Bush and locked him and his people up, and Cheney and all them. But Pelosi, who promised and got elected on the fact she was going to impeach Bush and go after him for war crimes, the second she was elected, as I've told you all before, impeachment is off the table.
She voted against impeaching Trump.
I'm saying you got to set a precedent eventually where somebody, you screw up as our elected officials, you're going to be in prison and locked away and treated worse than the person who does these crimes because you're supposed to be, you have a higher, there's a higher standard we're holding to you. Same thing with these cops. They should be locked away longer than anyone else for corruption and murder because they're supposed to be the ones.
That's right. It's a position of trust.
Alton Sterling's murderer got fired, not arrested. Like fired. Okay, at least it's something, but you should never see the light of day again.
No, these cops who get fired just go work at a different department eventually. I don't even see that as being valid. The union will fight to let them back somewhere.
Yeah, probably. But all I was saying was, you look at the government with the politicians, you look at the police departments with the cops. You're talking about two structures that shouldn't exist at all, and the more they exist, the more harm people will fall into. And you, under the system the way it is, you can't go after. Okay, hypothetically, alternate universe, tribunal comes up, goes to Capitol Hill, and goes, "Look, Trump is stealing native land right now, millions of acres. This is illegal. He should be put in prison." All right, well, here goes the trial. Here's the trial. Lawyers. It's on TV. Whatever. That is never going to happen under this system, especially because the last 40 plus presidents done similar things. And then with the cops, what the cops do to Adam Poorbear, 18, he was killed by Rosebud police in South Dakota. What the cops do to Stephon Clark in Sacramento, et cetera, is legal, is what they're supposed to be doing. Is they're doing their job. Because, and we've seen multiple cases, if the cop doesn't kill the person of color, they are fired. So you can't do anything to tear these systems down.
If you abuse a white nurse, kill a white Australian blonde lady, you're fired immediately and have problems. But if you don't kill a black person, even if he's not a threat, cops have been fired for that. There's a huge double standard there. And anyone who's saying that's not the case, if we have any of these scum listeners like we sometimes do, just look it up. It's right there. Google it. And I'm sure the Australian lady that was murdered by the police in Florida, he lost his job and he's been convicted. The nurse, that cop lost his job and got charges brought when he arrested a white blonde nurse. But there is at least two cases that I know of where a cop decided he was going to talk to a black person and not kill them. And I think one of them was armed. He got the gun from him and arrested him. And he was told he needed to kill him, and he lost his job and or one of them got demoted, and another one lost his job for that. It's a huge, terrible double standard.
You're absolutely right. I just want to make an edit to that. Damon's killer, not convicted, but he has been charged with murder and manslaughter, which is unheard of if it was a black person or a native person who killed.
Yeah.
But huge double standard, definitely.
It's ridiculous. So,
are we kind of done? We actually did it?
Did we do all four topics? So we had Sterling.
So. Oh, no, we didn't.
What did we miss?
No one. We missed number 3.
Oh, hang on. Let me look. What is number 3?
Citizen status questions are being added to the next U.S. Census, 2020. Sarah Huckabee Sanders lied, no surprise, to say those questions have always been there. Well, no, they haven't. Quit fucking lying.
They haven't been there since the early 50s, I believe, correct?
Yeah, it's been 60 years or so, as far as I know, as far as I've heard. Saying that Obama did it. Well, come on.
Obama did everything. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Watergate, that was Obama.
Satan came to Earth and disguised himself as a president. It was Obama.
I thought it was Frederick Douglass did Watergate.
Frederick Douglass just hasn't tweeted enough He needs to get his online presence going. What's up with that?
I couldn't. Yeah, gee, that's the reality that we live in.
His SEO is low.
I'll tell you, I hate liberals. I despise them. But outside of Hillary, give me something else. Come on, give me some intelligence in there. I mean,
You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Don't even bother.
Liz Warren, even actually not Liz Warren. Gillibrand, get Gillibrand in there. They're all horrible, but get Gillibrand in there. Just the lack of intelligence coming out of these press conferences all the time. Man. He may win. I think he'll win twice. I think he's going to win twice. If not, he's rigged the election, so he'll win it twice.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't make me any difference. Democrat, Republican, to me, it's all the same. But I do like the fact that Trump has people mad, because people haven't been mad before, and they need to be this mad every time we get some scum bucket in office, whether it's an Obama scum bucket, a Clinton scum bucket, a Bush scum bucket, or a Trump scum bucket. People need to be this angry and in the streets even more than they are now. I don't think they're doing enough. But yeah, I'm wondering if these citizen status questions or citizenship questions are going to be used to our disadvantage, whether it's for voting, more gerrymandering in the voting, the way the voting districts are sectioned off, or to just go and arrest more people and deport more people and detain more people, or give less funding to certain areas. You know what I mean? I don't see any good coming out of these questions. It's not like, citizenship questions. You're not a citizen? Good. We're going to take care of you and make sure I don't think it's working like that.
All of the above, man. The census has a lot to do with how all of those things are funded.
So this is basically just going to hurt a lot of people.
Yeah, there's definite gerrymandering considerations. There are federal funding considerations, which not only is for welfare programs, but also for police. So, and of course, I mean, it sounds like ICE gets to do whatever the fuck they want anyway. So, yeah, you can bet they'll be getting the data.
I don't know how people watch these videos. From Stephon Clark to that lady getting dragged away by ICE to... I mean, look at the comments on these things, and it's like, the thug's dead. He shouldn't have been running from the police or in the backyard looking suspicious. It's his own yard. I mean, he should have aimed the phone. When I see police, I aim a phone at him, and I think any normal person should. But he gets killed for it. This lady's dragged away with her kids screaming, and they're like, yeah, that's what she deserves. Send her back where she belongs. Get rid of her. Like, what is wrong with these people? They're so hateful and sick. Like, just looking at their comments, it's like they're not even trolling. They got to be serious.
Well, some of them are. Some of them are, but the ones that are there to incite aren't there by accident. Let's put it that way.
I don't know. It's just like people's lives are gone and ruined, and you're cheering for it. Like, yeah. And some of them just be straight up, one less N-word to worry about. One thug gone. The guy's in his backyard with a cell phone. I just don't get it. And these are the same people that are like, we need more guns, more guns, more guns.
Yeah, and these are the same people who are getting more and more prescription drugs and consuming more and more alcohol and going further in debt. Just speed up the wheel that they have to run on.
2 more weeks. I think hopefully the NRA meeting will actually take place this month. I'm going to go until it does. But I'm going to ask them about Philandro Castile. How come the NRA wouldn't back this legal, fully law-abiding gun owner who was murdered by the police because he had a fully legal gun on him and he never pulled it, never did anything other than what he was legally obligated to do by saying, yes, I have a fully legal gun on me.
Yeah.
Not one NRA
But
person has came to his defense. But a mass shooter, they're all out there like, hey, don't take this mass shooter's rights to kill people. He's white. And I think that's the difference. If Philandro Castile was white and the same exact instant, everything happened exactly the same, we would not have heard the end of it to this day from the NRA.
But if he was white, it would have never happened that way.
Well, obviously, the cops wouldn't have seen him as a threat. But
That's
I mean, you've
right.
seen, we've talked about this on the show before, and anyone can go straight to YouTube. They have tests. A black dude and a white dude did this together. The white dude throws the same gun on his shoulder, starts walking down the street. Cops roll by, don't even pay attention to him. They switch up. The black dude puts a gun. We're doing almost the same clothes. They're friends. Black dude puts a gun on his shoulder. Next thing you know, the whole street is blocked off by cops with guns aimed at him. What are you doing? Freeze! Same gun, same clothes, just a different color in the same street within minutes apart. You got guns aimed at this guy screaming, "Drop your weapon," and the white guy was just walking down the street, no problems. Cops even waved at him. No, this is a video. You can go right on YouTube and watch it. It's insane.
I know. I've watched it.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's
It's
like,
ridiculous.
wow. And then you look at the comments and it's like, because the black dude looked like, why did he have to look so thuggish?
So what they're really asking is,
He had
why
to
did he have to be black?
Yeah, like the only difference was skin color. How is he more thuggish? Same gun even. They just switched it up. It's like, wow.
Well, it's a rhetoric question. They answered it.
But yeah, it's really crazy. And it has to stop. I don't know how to make it stop. But I'm gonna ask them that, like, why don't you guys stand up for a black dude who followed every law, was a beloved member of his community by everybody, had a perfectly legal gun, did everything legal he was supposed to do, and still got shot. And not a word from the NRA about that. But a mass shooter, they're going to stand up for him.
Well, that reminds me of back in Ferguson, when the Oath Keepers showed up.
I hate them, yeah.
And they said they were going to get 50 African American men and get them licensed, and they were going to march with assault weapons. And that lasted about 8 hours until that idea was off the table.
See, that would have made me actually give them a little respect if they would have done that. But I doubt a white supremacist organization is going to arm black people.
Well, most of the Oath Keepers that showed up were actual veterans who know how shit works. And they served alongside all kinds of different people, all Americans. That's all that mattered to them. They're just very strong Second Amendment guys and all that shit. And a lot of the guys that showed up there, first wave, were willing to do it. They're like, fucking rights. You are the people who live here. You should be the ones showing it. They got it. But then,
But then once again, you're back to the group where some people might want to do something that makes sense as good.
Yep.
But you got the racists running the thing.
Yep.
And because, the Oath Keepers also protects NSM and KKK and everything else.
Yep.
So I don't see any purpose in giving them any credibility or benefit of the doubt for anything.
That's what I mean. They had a chance to do the right thing. They made it look like they may do the right thing, and then management showed up, and business as usual.
Sheesh. Yeah, because I always say that to these people that are like, everyone should. I said, good, I agree with you. Let's arm every black and Mexican cat. And all of a sudden, and they don't want to talk about gun rights anymore. It's just crazy. Like, as long as it's just the white people, they're cool with it.
Well, as Nolan said, it goes back to the reason for the Second Amendment.
Because, you know me. I say disarm the police. Once you do that, then people will feel a little bit safer maybe about not having to have such big guns on them. But you got these killers out here among us all over the place. You never know when they're going to show up at your door ready to kill you, or in your backyard ready to kill you. And a lot of people be like, oh, I want to get them first. And if I go to prison for it, oh, well, I'm still alive. That's a mentality.
It just baffles my mind that the paradox about how respected those who serve are. How we have to, pay homage to them when the media tells us to, but don't give them any money when they're on the sidewalk homeless, and don't listen to them when they give advice about things like assault weapons. It's such a paradox, man. There can be so many things learned from the last 2 generations of Americans that actually went and fought. It took 20, 25 years till the Vietnam vets were taken seriously. I guess nothing changes,
Yeah, a lot of them were still homeless too, though.
I know, but I mean,
and those are the last ones that I really care about because they were the last ones drafted. If there's no draft, whether you're lied to and poor or not, it's your choice to go kill people overseas. If you're drafted, you don't have a choice. You know what I mean?
That is true. That's true.
So I feel more for that. But people saying, I'm going to go, I think the corporations that are profiting off them and the military contractors and defense contractors, they're the ones that need to be paying these people to not be homeless. They need to be paying them a salary. They were willing to go risk their lives for these people's money. They owe them. They didn't do anything for me. They didn't do anything for the average American to keep us safe. They're fighting for corporate gain, so they need to get paid by those corporations that are benefiting off it. But somehow it doesn't seem to work that way, and they're still homeless and, coming back to misery.
The thing that blows my mind is the image of the modern veteran in American society. As long as they have that uniform on and they're showered and shaven, then you give them all the respect in the world. But when they've been home for a couple years and they're unemployed and they don't have health care, then they're garbage.
And they're living in a tent under the freeway.
Yeah. How does that happen? And then, like I said, when veterans come out and speak against assault weapons and the availability of them, they're just disregarded. Who has, probably, tens or hundreds of hours practice with the weapons they're talking about? Don't listen to them. Listen to Wayne LaPierre.
Hey, did you guys see the Chris Cantwell, the crying Nazi, as he's better known as? He now has a Dylan Roof haircut, and he swears next year there's going to be a March for Their Life. They're going to show up with guns and teach these kids a lesson. Basically, he's giving death threats that he's going to come and kill people.
Well, he can make death threats now because it's public knowledge that he's a confidential informant for the FBI.
Yeah, that was the other thing. He's going to bring down Antifa by fooling them. Who's going to let this crying Nazi in with a Dylan Roof haircut now?
I wouldn't talk to Christopher Cantwell on the radio 4 years ago. So, whatever.
Why would anyone talk to him on anything? It just blows my mind. He's allowed to say all these, give death threats, be violent, do whatever.
He's protected.
Yeah, but why wouldn't they use him? I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. How is he a CI when the Nazis, who he's part of, know this? He's clearly stated it to Weave and them, I think, on one of the chats I was reading. And then past that, no anti-fascist is going to give him the time of day. He's a joke to us. So I don't understand where they're going with this. Who is he going to entrap?
Nobody. It's just fluff.
Oh, just to make sure he doesn't do any time for all his death threats and crazy rants and whatever.
I mean, I remember watching that video when he got the shit scared out of him when he was somewhere in Delaware. Somebody with a gun. And Mr. fucking Libertarian just lost it. So, I mean, I think it was clear back then already. He produced some kind of ID and he was left alone, right now. So, the Bureau doesn't care what you bring them. They just want your loyalty.
Yeah, whatever. I just don't get it. Like, he's useless to the. Like, you're not gonna get him to do anything. No one trusts him on any side.
Yeah, but he's on Twitter and he's going to talk big.
Yeah. Whatever. So I guess we've hit all the subjects, topics, whatever they are.
More or less.
I wanted to. You're just about. I think we hit them all. I just wanted to say something about what Tim was talking about. How it's a lot of white folks, whether it be with slurs, assaulting us while they're using the slurs, that hate that you see, and you got to remember, we weren't supposed to be quote unquote freed from those plantations, and all the native people were supposed to be killed. So we aren't. Oh, this is a reality that was not supposed to happen. We were still supposed to be shackled on plantations, and all the indigenous people were supposed to be exterminated by now. There's a great line by my favorite comedian, Paul Mooney, says, "You're telling me that when I'm a slave, I can be in your house. But now I'm free, and you don't want me in this neighborhood. So you're saying if slavery came back tomorrow, you'll just say, welcome home."
Yeah, Paul Mooney. That's real though, but it's just Paul Mooney says things to hit you, and it's so funny the way he says them.
No, there's validity in that, no doubt.
Just wanted to put that on the table.
Yeah, it's real. It's anything. When you listen to Paul Mooney or Richard Pryor, who he wrote for, you're hearing some real stuff just in a funny way.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not even that funny when they say it. It's just like disgusting that it's actually reality. Not on their end, just that they have to even talk about some of these things. But yeah,
and himself, he says all the time when he gets heat for that, he says, "Look, slavery was here when I was born; it'll be here when I'm gone. Why are you looking at me? Why don't you go at racism?"
Yeah, Paul Mooney's a legend. So yeah, anything else? Anything else? Anyone want to go over before we end this?
I'll say that my brothers and sisters in Cape Town, South Africa, we are running out of water. So read about that, help if you can somehow. Bears here is just still a problem. Trump is trying to take all that land in the Midwest of the United States. Stephon Clark's name should be said every 5 minutes. But so should Adam Poorbear's. So should
hundreds and thousands of others.
Yeah, I won't go on forever. Derek Stason, 16 years old, killed by the cops on New Year's Day. So just understand this is a daily problem that's been happening since, at least in terms of the country, since the country started.
Yeah, you know what they need? They have that Vietnam vet wall. They need a wall like that of all the people murdered by police.
Yes.
So people can go and look at that and say, oh, these murderers that are paid for by the United States, different states and different federal authorities, murdered all these, and just look at this giant, huge wall that goes down for however long it goes down. You can't even see the end, with just the names of people murdered by police. I think we need someone to do that. We need to find a way to make that happen and let it travel across from city to city, so people can just look at this giant thing and think how, and compare it to war memorials with these names on it and be like, there's no difference. These people have all been murdered on United States soil by a terrorist organization that we deem as heroes and pay with our tax dollars. Yeah, we need something like that.
and fix the U.S. Holocaust Museum, where it puts a bold-faced lie out there saying that black people were not. There was no effort to systematically exterminate black people in Nazi Germany. There was a very large effort to exterminate black people in Nazi Germany. Black people were actually the number one target of Adolf Hitler's sterilization program. We were in the same camps as Jewish folk, both treated about as horribly as humans have ever been treated.
My turn?
Kick it.
All right. This is one for the irony file. If you remember a couple weeks ago, the entire Western world corporate media was up in arms about the crooked presidential elections in Russia. Vladimir Putin did win with 77% of the vote. They had a turnout around 67%. There were 8 candidates on the ballot. Second place got 12%, third place got 6%. So yeah, he kicked ass, but at least, there was other voting. Now this last week we come to Egypt. You'll be hard-pressed to find anything in the Western press about this election. No less than 6 candidates for president of Egypt were taken off the ballot by the president. 4 of them were put in jail. He was the only name on the candidate on the ballot. President was the only name on the ballot until 48 hours before voting, when a very, very obscure dude who actually supported the president was put on the ballot. There is footage of government troops passing out sugar and other necessities to people to try to get them to vote. They extended the voting period. Turnout was 47%. And President El-Sisi got 92% of the vote. What a surprise.
Wow.
And the American media wants to talk about how crooked Russia was. What about Egypt? Oh, they're our friends. Ridiculous.
Yep. It's all a sham.
So that's it.
That's it. Cool. So yeah, thank you everybody who's listening, and we'll see you guys next week. And thank Nolan. We're so glad to have you back, and Glenn for doing this regularly. And see everybody next week, same place, same time. And that's that.
Peace.